The Oregon eviction notice. What is an eviction notice? Eviction notice, or notice to quit, is a letter sent by the landlord to the tenant notifying them that they should either take or stop a certain action or vacate the rented premises. Eviction notice can be of two types: conditional, when a tenant is given time to remedy the breach of the lease, or unconditional, when a landlord terminates the lease without any alternative options for a tenant. What should an eviction notice include? Information about the tenant and the landlord. The reason for sending the notice. The date by which the tenant should take or stop a certain action. The consequences of non-compliance. The date and way of notice delivery and the landlord's signature in the form of certificate of service attached to the notice. How to evict a tenant in Oregon. Non-payment notice. According to the Oregon legislature, the rent is considered late if it is not paid by the 4th day of the rental period. After the rent is past due, the week-to-week tenant should get at least a 72-hour notice before termination of the lease. If the tenant occupies premises on a month-to-month or year-to-year basis, a 72-hour notice is needed if the notice is sent on the 8th day after rent is past due, or a 144-hour notice if the notice is sent on the 5th day of the rental period. Non-compliance notice. When it comes to other violations of the lease, the state of Oregon requires the landlord to send a 30-day notice to the tenant, giving them 14 days to either remedy the violation or quit the premises. In case of week-to-week tenancy, a 7-day notice is required that would give the tenant 4 days to correct the issue. In a specific case, such as keeping a pet that can bring damage to the premises, the tenant should be given 10 days to rehome it. In case of illegal activity, a 24-hour notice should be given to the tenant before termination of the contract. What if the tenant fails to comply? If the tenant fails to comply with the rules of the lease, the landlord can file a complaint with the appropriate Oregon court. The filing fee is $88 statewide. Then, the tenant should get a complaint and summons before the hearing by a person authorized by court. If the tenant decides to appear for court hearing, they should file a written notice with the court. The tenant's failure to appear for the court hearing might result in a judgment in favor of the landlord by default. If the court makes a judgment of restitution, the tenant will have 4 days to move out before a writ of execution is issued. Then, a law enforcement official can remove the tenant who hasn't left the premises immediately after the issue of the writ.